Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ODPP Café. I am your host, Anita Onuko. We are shooting live from Mombasa. We are doing a series of topics from the coastal region. I also have two experts today, and I will tell you what we'll discuss in a bit. So today, I just want to take you through the courts like we normally do. And the disclaimer, like I must put it out, is that it is not everything, but just a glimpse of what has been happening in the courts this week. Please have a look at this. Thank you so much and welcome again. I want to give my guests a few minutes to introduce themselves and you get to know who they are and what they do. And of course, I'll start with you, Nalia. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
Please tell us your name, your full names, majina kamili, alafu tell us what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anita, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Naila Abdallah. I work with Sisters for Justice, a social justice center based in Mombasa, Sauni, and we are a women-led organization for women, by women, for the women. Yeah.
Oh, karibu sana to the show.
Thank
We're going to get a lot from you about what you're doing and for the women in Mombasa.
Sawa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Please tell us your name and what you do for the ODPP.
Okay, thank you, Anita.
Yeah.
My name is Alan Mulama. I am a prosecution counsel with the ODPP. I'm currently in charge of the Kwale County. Yes, I've been there. This is my 5th month there now.
5th month?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
So utatuambia story kwa ground.
Yes.
In a bit.
We'll catch up, yes.
Yeah. So we want to talk about the challenges facing the youth in Mombasa. And we have the advantage of having you, Nalia, on the show because of Sisters for Justice. Maybe just for a bit of background, when were you formed, what do you do, and how do you do it, and with who do you do it? Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Anita.
Yeah.
And we are registered CBO in Kisauni, in Mombasa, based in Kisauni, and we registered in 2017, but we became more operational during 2019 when the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutor, Mr. Nordin Haj, came to grace the launch of the center.
Oh, nice.
Since then, we started becoming more active on the ground, or everything that happening in Kisauni. We understand the narrative in Kisauni when
you will tell us about the narrative.
yes,
Yeah.
it's more on criminal,
Yeah.
security, violation, gender-based violence, terrorism, enforced disappearances. There's a lot in Kisauni that is happening. So as Sisters for Justice, we decided to try and change, at least if we change one person, it will mean a huge impact in the society. That's why we are there in case of anything, especially for our youth, the issues of police brutality, issues of enforced disappearance, gender-based violence, sexual exploitation on children became so rampant in the society. That's why, for example, myself, who is the founder of the Sisters for Justice, I sat down and brought my members down, and we were like, let's do something. Let's change. This is our city. This is our nation. This is our country. Let's try to change the narrative of Kisauni. Imagine where we are sitting. This is part and parcel of Kisauni sub-county, Shanzu, but we are not seeing this. We have a very big hotels in Kisauni, which is in Shanzu, in sub-county, but we're not seeing it. We are only seeing the bad side of Kisauni. So, for example, I come from Kisauni. I was raised in Kisauni, and I'm a different person. This means there are others who can be changing the society. That's why we're here to try and change the narrative. For example, I once took a Uber from airport to Kisauni. All of the Uber were declining. No, we're not going there.
Is that bad?
That's bad. Even if you're trying to book something, but I was like, no, I'm coming from Kisauni. How comes these things are being pictured like this? We need to change
Kisauni. So do you think women are the answer to changing the narrative in Kisauni?
Yes.
Really?
I'm a woman, and we know women play a major role in the society. We are the peacekeepers. We are the first honor detector. We know the early warnings of everything that is happening in the society.
You're the gatekeepers.
Yeah, the gatekeepers, yes.
Yeah.
And I think we play a major role in the society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been active since 2019?
Yeah, so in 2019, but been in this field of human rights since 2010.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to the show. At least you get some perspective from the infamous or famous Kisauni constituency. Yeah. Thanks so much, Mr. Mulama, for coming to the show. And just as a bit of background, are there things that the ODPP does with CBOs such as Sisters for Justice to just maybe even help change the narrative in places like Kisauni? In terms, when you look at drugs, when you look at child exploitation, are there things that the ODPP does to help CBOs like Sisters for Justice?
Okay, thank you, Anita. You see, for the ODPP, you see our mandate is drawn from Article 157 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And primarily, we are supposed to deal with criminal prosecutions in terms of instituting, taking over, and continuing with such prosecutions. And of course, to advise the police on matters, investigation of where there's any elements of criminality. But then we came to realize that far from our mandate, over and above our mandate to prosecute, we cannot just be securing convictions and filing the cases away as if you're not dealing with human beings. So we came from the realization that we are dealing with human beings, and therefore we need to approach prosecutions from a human-based and human rights-based perspective. And yes, we now deal with CBOs like Nalias here, Sisters for Justice, where we have now come up with community engagement and outreach programs, so that we now have to engage the youth more.
Yeah.
We have to engage the women more, so that we can not only be seen as just in court as the traditional prosecutors, as it were.
Yeah.
So we are more and more engaging with these organizations to see how best we can execute our mandate in court and also outside
out of court. Is it working?
Yes. By and large, it is working, because we realize that most of these cases we deal with, they come from the community where we ourselves as prosecutors stay. And therefore, I would say that we have come to the realization that we need to engage these communities more and more, because by doing so, we even realize that some of these cases that we used to prosecute before we started these engagements have now reduced, because the community now understands what we do as an organization, as opposed to seeing us just as part of the state. That we are. You're now
always hounding for arrests and convictions.
That is not really our job as prosecutors. And I think for us it is working well. The engagements that we are having with these organizations.
CBOs are working. Yes. So let's just bring it home now. We want to talk about the drug menace in Mombasa. And as a prosecutor in the coastal region, as a prosecutor, do you see a lot of these cases? Are there as many as you imagine they are? Because sometimes you could be imagining that this is a problem, but it is not recorded in your in your books as a problem. So is it a problem?
Sure, it is a problem. For the 5 months I've been around, I've seen quite a number of cases of youth being brought to court, and anything from 35 and below. That's what I term as a youth.
Hata karibu nikuulize, how old is youth?
You know, as per our constitution, I think anything 35 and below.
And below.
Yeah, that is 35 to 18.
Yes.
That should be a youth.
A youth.
Because now these are teenagers, and they're children actually as per law. But anything from 35 to 18, that is classified as a youth. So yes, it's actually a problem in the coast. And personally, where I work in Kwale, I've seen quite a number of cases of accused persons being brought into court with a few rolls of bang here and there. And even if it's not about the drug cases, then we have issues of delinquency, where you see there's threatening to kill, other penal code offenses, that when you go to the root of it, you realize that, of course, there are issues to do with the drug-related problems.
Yeah. What's delinquency, by the way? How do you define it?
You see anything out of what we know in society as the norms of, good manners. So that anything out of that, the norms that society terms as good manners to us is delinquency. And you have seen it a lot, in terms of the school unrest.
Yeah.
Where most of the cases, not necessarily in Diani or Kwale, but you've seen nationally, actually, most of the cases where we have had schools unrest, there have been arrests of those students involved, and most of them have been found in possession of drugs, cannabis.
Yeah.
They have been found in possession of codeine, in possession of clozapam, all these prescription drugs and the drugs as we know them proper. So yes, it's a big problem nationally and also in Kwale.
In Kwale,
where
yeah.
I work. Yes.
Okay. So are we talking about delinquency? And the family is a unit that has to be looked at by CBOs like yourselves. What role do women play a role in this whole managing this delinquents? Yeah. What do you tell them to do?
Of course, as a mothers, as a women, in any other family, not only in Mombasa or Coast, but any other places, mothers are the uniters. Mothers are the one who at least neutralize the heat in the homes, the issue, conflict in the house. Once there is no mother, once there are no women in the society, we believe there's a lot that might be done. For example, just a mother when she's out, maybe she's sick, she's not in the house that day.
You fill the gap.
A lot of operations. So we understand that women play a major role, and we detect early warnings or anything.
I like the way you say early warnings, like it's the weather.
We are the first. We are the first king of our people.
Yeah.
And we can tell, and we've undergone several trauma, especially when it comes to drugs. When we're saying about drugs, we feel like in cost, there's a researcher who did and said in the next 10 years, if cost will continue with the drugs, then there'll be no family. Yeah. There'll be no youth. There'll be no children to take care of their old ones. So this is very true. And for us as an organization, for us as a community influencers, we really try our level best to try and see how possibly we can fight this global disaster.
In our local context. What are the most prevalent drugs?
Most of the times, of course, we have Bangi, which is the most commonly used. We have
injectables. Yeah.
We have Bugizis, the one that it's something called the Nino, but when you take it, it's also part of it. But the most commonly one, the sugar, I know on the Historian time.
Sema tu kwa sababu hii show pia kuna watu tu kama mimi na wewe tunaona.
Okay. Kuna hizo wanajidunga Bugizi, kuna hizo wanajidunga heroin, cocaine. So it's kind of very devastated when you see them. Our young boys, we had some times back went directly and see how they do these things. And we tried to understand the reasons why you guys are injecting the same injection is being used by this way. It's kind of very risky, but through several programs that we try to come up with least it's really working, but it's not that much. At least they can go take different injections. At least someone will have
that's a lesser evil, eh?
Yeah. So those are the kind of drugs, and as we said, most women who are suffering on muguka also. It's becoming rampant in cost. Muguka. So I feel, or we feel like it's very easy, it's very cheap, cocaine, drugs,
expensive.
It's kind of a little bit expensive compared to the muguka ones that people can just have a grab of 100 shilling. He or she is somewhere there, and it's not being used alone by the boys. We've seen how many girls engaging themselves into this, and we have different group names, criminal group names for the genders. We are even shocked.
What are the names?
We have Wakware, Wabibi, Wastare. There are different names that they impacted.
So those are gang names.
Gang names.
Yeah.
And imagine they recruit other young girls into that.
Wow. I'm just curious, is Mogoka, is it a drug? Like, can you be arrested for having Mogoka?
No, you can't be. It's just like Mira,
you can't be arrested
you can't
for
be
it.
arrested. Yeah, you can't be arrested. It's sold openly.
It's sold openly.
Yeah.
In fact,
it's actually a cash crop, right?
Whatever.
It's a cash crop in there, right? Yeah, and Maua, so you can't be arrested.
You can't be arrested for it. Yeah. Okay. So, what is the source of these drugs, Molamba? Where do they come from, especially, and why is the coast so prone? Why is the coast region so prone to this drug habit?
Yeah, you see, as much as we enjoy the beautiful, topography we have in the coast in terms of the sea, the ocean, reports from the UNODC have implicated, the sea as one of the conduits of these drugs from the Americas. So really, the sea is one of the conduits we have, and of course, once these drugs are here, we've also had a problem of how we deal with them. Once they're impounded or even maybe taken to court, we have had a problem of how do we then deal with the exhibits after the matters.
Do you have to actually take them to court? To the court?
Yes, actually the court has to view them physically. But now the challenge has always been and has been actually there are some cases which have concluded in court, and the question has been, okay, then how are these drugs destroyed?
Yeah.
Who is to supervise after they are destroyed? Do we really know what you're destroying?
And I never thought of that.
Place?
Yeah.
So there's the problem of having the same drugs that were impounded,
finding their way back into the streets.
So these are some of the things that maybe as legal
na hakuna polisi kwa
law
maji.
enforcement.
There's no law enforcement in the waters to take care of this. They're there. Yeah, okay. But that's quite a challenge, yeah?
Coming to this breakfast show today, I was just called by one of our village elder who is based at the Maskani, where the drugs, even the police are afraid to get it there. It's called Magodoroni in Kisauni. It's a hot bed. It's a hot spot in Kisauni. You can just pass there. When the mzigo comes, when the drugs comes, you will see like the chakula imekuja somewhere. People are running for it. That place is usually crowded. That area is usually crowded. No one listens to anyone, and police or security, they know
the security organs,
But Mzee was asking me when they get that evidence in court, where do they go? They still come back to the drug peddlers. They sell to the drug peddlers, and it rotates like that. Sometimes it's not even reaching to police, to court. Ikifika pale wamewachukua, they get it with them. Where do they take it? Are they banning it? Are they seizing it to the ocean like what we saw a few years back? What the president did. You know, if it was true.
People can be so ambitious to even go and wait for it under the water. At this rate, I
was asked, where do it go? Is it like normal days to Nona Busa in Koina Mwagwa? We see it, it's evidence, court imeona. But with the drug, with the alcohol, with the cocaine, with the sugarcane, all those drugs, where do they go?
Where do they go?
Where do they go? Yes, we've seen police, they come, they prosecuted it, they brought it to the court, but next.
if this was a normal TV station, you'd ask, the question today is, where do they go? But we won't ask that.
Yeah.
So then, Mulama, how do you connect drugs, the youth, crime, and human rights abuses? How do you see the connection?
Yeah, of course, you see the people who are abusing drugs, more often than not, they are the youth.
Yeah.
Most of them in their teens. And I was just asking, Naila here, what does she think? What is the youngest she has seen in terms of drug abuse here? And she's seen like 13, 14-year-olds abusing drugs. So now the question that very first comes to my mind as a prosecutor is, when this 14-year-old is brought to court, in law they are children.
Yeah.
These are child. So when they are brought to court, first of all, maybe accused of being in possession of a number of rolls of bang, a few grams maybe of cocaine or whatever. So the first question as a prosecutor, I'm dealing with a minor. Is she or he represented in the first place? Where are the parents? Are they schooling? Is the child schooling? So these are some of the human rights questions that as a prosecutor I may have to deal with. And more often than not, you'll find that there is a societal breakdown, so that you'll find maybe the parents themselves are abusing drugs. Maybe the child is not going to school. Chances are that they may not be able to afford a lawyer. Luckily enough, the CJ has said that all matters where children are involved as suspects, or rather as being in conflict with the law, a lawyer has to be provided by the state. But you see, these are things that are incrementally being put in place. But then these are some of the human rights concerns that you may want to ask. Like, how were they arrested? Where were they placed? In the cells where
were they found? Yes,
where were they found? And in the cells, did they have to spend a night or two with adults? If it's a lady, a girl, where was she incarcerated?
Yeah.
All these questions are some of the things that we have to grapple with as prosecutors. And more often than not, you'll find that, yes, there might be a few questions or concerns of human rights abuse in terms of the arrest and arraignment in court.
Yeah. Interesting. So how do you see it, the connection?
Yeah.
You're a human rights advocate.
Yeah. There's a very direct link with youth crime, drugs, human rights.
Yeah.
We understand that when the youth are trying to use the drugs, use the things that make them become fearless, when they start robbing, attacking people, of course they're breaking the laws. They're attacking, they're infringing someone else's right. And probably we will condemn the situation. And as human rights organization, we've tried to look onto this situation. For example, bringing legal aids to the community. Maybe they don't understand the law. Maybe they don't know how they can go from this step to other steps. So it's directly linking to the human rights violation. And we understand when human rights when human rights violation is being infringed, probably it's infringing other society. So we try and we ask the police, we ask the security to try to look for those who did. Most of the time when they come, the criminal attacks, they attack, they disappear, they're being other youth, they're being so mistaken, issues are mistaken identities. But most of the time, these are the problems. Let's look for solutions. As human rights, we normally try to look for solutions. Since when we'll be taking police, we will take killing our kids, youth attacking the community till when? So we normally have program, and a good example, the program that we're having, a Create program with Haki Africa, that we're trying to educate, raising awareness to the community that when you do this, probably you won't be left out. Even if there is human rights organization, even if there is law, there's no way you can be above the law, and there's no one who is above the law. We have to respect this. When you're caught with bangi, when you're high, when you're doing a cutting and criminal issues, there is this, and this. And at the same time, when we bring the community together, we also bring the state actors on board. And we're telling them this is the issues. We are not saying when you find a boy or you find a criminal with certain thing, you kill that person. You kill that boy or you kill that society. No. you also know that there is law, you can
Yes.
prosecute, there is all those channels, we have constitution, we have judiciary in our society.
Yeah.
So we're trying to harmonize the whole situation,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah,
I'm just
that's-
wondering, when a child is arrested, where should they be taken?
Of course, they have their children's courts.
But before they reach court, Mulama, where are they taken? Where do you expect, say, the police to take
Yeah,
them?
of course, the first point of call is usually the police station.
Yeah.
there is-
But it's not. The truth is that not all police stations are equipped with a facility to
hold children.
Not all of them. For instance, I think in Kwale, we have the Kwale police station, which is equipped with such a facility, which courtesy, I think, of the CDF.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is just it's just the CDF and the IJM, if I'm not wrong. I think IJM, right?
The
IJM. But you see, again, it is one thing to have the facility. That's the building itself.
Another thing to use it.
To use it, and even to have officers who are equipped
Child-friendly.
and trained enough
yeah.
to handle these kids. Because a facility, you can have such a nice place like we are sitting here.
Yeah.
But if you don't have people who can handle these children in a manner as it's preferred, if it's preferred in our constitution and in our laws, then of course it will make the sense. And again, for Kwale is an expansive county. If we may just talk about Kwale itself.
How big is Kwale, though?
In terms of the square kilometers, I may not really be,
But it's quite big.
but it's quite expansive because you see Kwale County starts all the way from Samburu, which is on the Mombasa Nairobi highway.
Yeah.
Samburu, all the way from Samburu, Kinango, coming all up the way to Lunga Lunga. So you see, it's a very expansive. And along there, we have several number of police stations.
Yeah.
Most of them are not equipped with facilities to handle children offenders or child offenders.
Yeah.
And that is the truth also in as far as the manpower goes. Not all police stations have such officers who can handle these children.
Yeah.
And therefore, the first point of call is the station, but not all of them are equipped to handle these children.
Yeah.
So you can find in areas where children are in the same cell as
Yeah.
As
adults.
grown-ups.
Yeah.
We have had instances where children are defiled in the stations. So you see all this.
That's really
yeah,
terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's where we are. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the legal and policy framework that there is in the drug space.
Yes.
What sort of what is there for us to learn about?
Yeah, of course, for the very serious violations in terms of drug trafficking,
Yeah.
we have the Prevention of Organized Crimes Act, because you know that drugs are, the issues of trafficking, these are transnational organized crime, and therefore, if you are to find evidence or that someone is engaging in this one in a sort of an organized network, then of course we have the Prevention of Organized Crimes Act,
Yeah.
which carries very punitive offences. I think 20 years, 30 years, depending with the offence. But now coming closer to the drug issue itself, we have the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. The Act actually seeks to sort of distinguish the users, what we call the mateja, right? The matejas, the addicts. It also tries to
Mbona waitwi
distinguish.
mteja? Mbona mateja?
I don't know why the name Mateja, but I think I got that name. I found
From
it here
Nalia,
from
yeah,
Nalia,
yeah.
The Matejas.
Addicted.
Yeah, so the small-time users or the addicts, they are sort of distinguished from the traffickers. That is Section 3 and 4 of the Act. So that
Trafficking is what? Who is a trafficker?
a trafficker, as per the Act, is someone who sort of transports, receives, stores these.
So they're the ones who bring it into the country.
Yes, they are the ones who bring it. But then again, the traffickers, to say that so and so is a trafficker and arraign them to court, they are the big fish.
difficult.
So more often than not, we deal with the mid-level to the low level sort of traffickers and what I'll call predators or pushers. Yeah. So the Act seeks to distinguish, so that if you're found, say, with 5 rolls, 10 rolls,
You're just a user.
15 rolls,
Yeah.
and then it's now the onus is on you to prove and demonstrate to the court that what. I have this in my possession, yes, but it's not for sale. It's for my own personal use. Remember, some of these things are prescription, like marijuana.
Yeah.
You can have a prescription,
Is it allowed in Kenya though? Can I say I'm using it for my own?
Now, our law anticipates that. Therefore, I think
Okay.
our law anticipates that.
Yeah.
So if you can be able to show that it is something that it's under prescription
For medical use.
or it's just for your own personal use, not even medicinal, but just personal use. The law, has some separate penalties for the for the trafficker and the user. So that if you're a trafficker, you can face anything upwards of 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But if you're just the ordinary user, you can even go off with a fine, you know. Yeah. So our law seeks to distinguish.
This is quite interesting for me. Like I can say this is for my personal use, but I'll still face the criminal charges.
Yes, you still face the charges. That's
even
not the difference between
you
section
can
3
say
and 4.
here that is for personal use. What I say, kuna possibility of me having just drugs for my own entertainment.
No. I think that's where maybe our parliamentarians, maybe in their wisdom, I think they sought to distinguish, because they were drafting these laws fully aware of the fact that
the different scenarios.
There are different scenarios. There are people who actually bring these things inside the country. There are people who actually traffic. Like every other day you hear maybe in Homa Bay, Migori, there are Moyale, Nairobi. Some vehicles have been impounded with 20, 50, 100 kilograms of bang. So in such cases, this is not the ordinary user. But you know people who just use bang and they abuse it actually on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So really, we cannot punish these people, you know, using the same statute and same punishment.
But you see the difference between when you talk about bang?
Yes.
It is something we grow here.
Who we grow?
Not me, but there are people who plant it and it grows. I mean, our weather allows for farming of this.
But illegally. Yes.
But I'm thinking about things like cocaine.
Yes.
So are they treated differently when it comes to criminal proceedings? That the person who brought cocaine and the person who's arrested maybe planting bang or something, are they treated differently?
Okay, for these other psychotropic substances, there's no. I think that distinguish application to the law only applies to bang. I've not seen it applicable to others. Okay. But of course, you know, our courts of law again are not blind. If you are to be found with maybe how many milligrams of ile makucha, a few milligrams, kidogo ile makucha. If you're to be arrested with that, I think our courts are not blind. You are likely to be treated differently from someone who's arrested with a number of kilograms. I think you're likely to be treated differently.
I think what I'm trying to say, just for clarification, is that bang is grown maybe locally by people illegally because our weather allows for it. But then there's a problem of the transnational and organized crimes where people actually bring these drugs into the country. So just for clarification, don't worry about that. So you're talking about the policy and legal framework. So what are some of the penalties that are there for users?
Yeah, so you see, there's a lot of discretion when you look at section 3 and 4 of the act I just referred to. Yeah. There's a lot of discretion given to judicial officers in terms of the penalties. And this is just about now this discretion being used, exercised judiciously so that it's not abused. Yeah. So you'll find I've seen cases several where people are fined depending on let's say you are arrested with 100 rolls going downwards with a street value. I don't know where you usually attach the street value to it. I think some quarters say that we should not even be attaching the street value because it's sort of inviting people. So this
lucrative.
Yes, sort of lucrative. So, but still we do attach the street value. So you find that maybe 100 rounds you can go off with about 20,000, 30,000 fine, depending with the judicial officer. Some can even give you 1 year without option of a fine. It's still discretion. And for trafficking, it can go up to 20 years with the option of a fine or not. So it just depends with the court and, of course, how, as prosecution, we put our case across. Remember, there are so many issues that will determine the sentence. Yeah. Maybe if you are not a first-time offender, maybe if you are found it to be peddling or selling to school children. So it really depends with how the case is and the circumstances. Yeah.
And I think this is a point where you say you do not investigate, you only prosecute.
Yes.
Otherwise, there'll be a demand for munafanya nini, Yes. That's quite interesting.
Yes. So ours is just to put the case across to court and give the court.
And you do not determine the sentence, you can just advise.
Yeah. Ours is just to give the aggravating factors if they are, and now it's for the court to sentence.
I find it very important nowadays to bring these mandates very out clearly. Yes. Because when you talk about the ODPP and such things, people now say, mbona waku investigate nani, unapata, mbona ule alipata sentence. So it is this audience that needs to understand the mandate so that even when they read things out there, they understand this is not the mandate of the ODPP, this is the mandate of investigative agencies. Sure. Yeah. So it's for clarity. So Nalia, just tell me, now there's the burden of drugs and drug abuse to the society where you deal with. What is this that you see from what has been the impact of drug abuse in say Kisauni? Yeah.
There's a very huge impact that we've seen, and we understand that it's a disaster But we still have hope. One day, one time, it will end. If it's not going to end, it will reduce. But at the moment, we have a very large number, statistic number. Especially, I'm even feeling it. Sometimes it's not a matter of just talking interviews, doing a program work, office work, doing a concept note to donors. But sometimes it's kind of humanity. Seeing your own youth, very active youth, 2018, who can be the next journalist, the next lawyer, but seeing him laying down in the street. Not the parent, but as human alone.
You feel it.
How about the parents? How about the society? And this is very sudden, especially when it comes to the opportunities of being a soldier, security, police work in Mombasa, in Post, in Sauni. We have no opportunity.
There are no opportunities.
No opportunity.
No, there is opportunity, but there is no resource.
Yeah, the main reason, according to them, wanasema they are not qualified due to the drugs.
Oh.
They can't run, they can't watch, they can't do, and their blood is more full test with narcotic, what. So it's very true. Even if you go, even if you walk on the street in Mombasa, you will see them. Not only men alone, but also women.
Yeah.
And this is very sudden. Sometimes in Africa Mahali, we feel like this is too much. Whoever is doing this, whoever is selling this to them, is he having a children?
Are they known?
They are known.
Yeah.
And they're very big secret people.
Yeah.
Even if you're telling them, show us where you buy them,
they attack on there.
They won't. But at the end of the day, they have to look for money, they have to rob, they have to go to their... Some they've been thrown away by their families. They're no longer they're part of families. Because
you're talking about 95% of...
95% or 85%. It's so bad. To an extent that we feel like, is this intentional to cost? Sometimes we think out of box. Maybe it's because of, it's in an end that you feel like this is too much. Where is the police? Where is the court? Where is this? Where is the UNODC that we know they're working on drugs?
Yeah.
Where are they? We have organizations that are specifically doing drug eradication.
Yeah.
Where are they? Apart from them advising, giving harm reduction, you have harm reduction program. But since when?
But you think, Nalia, that the burden now is not even, the laws are clear, there are organizations and institutions helping you fight this.
Exactly.
Don't you think that the burden is on the families, in the people of the coast?
That's what my colleague was saying.
Yeah.
So sometimes you feel like it's something normal. The family, it's on news.
Yeah.
The role model parenting, of course, we can't.
Broken families,
social life system. Also, another thing is they're calling it as depression.
Yeah.
For the users on Asema, we are taking this. It's not for our own sake. Life has given us a blow. There is no opportunity for us. There is no job for us. There is no bread and tea.
Yeah.
We are hopeless. We don't know what to do. So mimi nikienda nikijiunga nikule moja, I feel good. I feel like life is normal according to them. But that's not the situation.
Yeah.
That's not the solution. Sometimes we normally sit down with them, and apparently nowadays they understand that this is bad. Some they even cry when they use that. They cry. Since when will I be using all this? I'm becoming old,
Yeah.
It's even becoming so emotional, but it's addiction already. There's that aspect of being it's addiction, and there's something. The program is also very expensive.
Oh, the one that cleans you up? And that's very good, because I wanted to ask about rehabilitation centers.
For you to take your person or
Yeah.
family sometimes.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about
government
the rehabilitation centers that you have in the coastal region. Are they there?
They are there.
How affordable are they?
Yes. For the government one, it's quite subsidized price, but for the private one, it's quite expensive.
How much is government one?
I remember one family, they were doing contribution of over 100,000 for them to
take their
take
kin
their,
here.
their family, that addicted man, and he is a man with family. You understand? Seeing your father every day in that situation, seeing your husband in that situation, becoming more traumatized here. It gives a lot of traumatization in the family, despite them having fun. According to them, it's having fun and all that. But at the end of the day, for the people who feel something about them, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. And when you're going to rehabilitation, it's 50-50.
You may come out okay or not.
You may come out okay or not. In fact, what we've seen, how many people when you're metoka for rehab, they relapse. They go back to the same
Why?
society.
Is it because the environment is the same?
Yeah. No, you are treating, but at the same time, the place is the same. You go out, you see, oh, my friend, you still you're fresh, very. Unless it becomes
a personal journey.
That's why we bring psychosocial support inside the rehabilitation. There are people who does that, but most of the time it's individual change.
It comes from the person. How much did you say the one for government is?
The one for government, I'm not that sure, but I think in cost general it's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
I think it's 20,000 if I'm not wrong. But we have for the government and we have for the, but it's kind of limited. And we have special programs from different organizations like Menace. They have those narcotics and all that. But I think years back we did a program exchange in Tanzania. They are doing so well when it comes to drug issues and harm reduction.
It's working there.
Yeah, it's working there.
So is it all hopeless? There's hope?
There is hope. Once we combine our efforts, because it's not someone's responsibility ya serikali peke yake. If we combine our efforts, we go program exchange, I believe things can be done.
Yeah.
Yes, I think things can be done.
And you know what's coming out clearly when you discuss these matters in the criminal justice system? Over and over again now, the call to action is on the person, on the people, on the citizens to try and to help the government mitigate these things, because tukiacha serikali yote haitafanyika. Unapata? That's why organizations like yours are very important. Even in countries like those countries in Scandinavian areas where there's little or no crime, it's because the people themselves have taken it upon themselves to fight these vices. And we really hope that this will work in Kenya, because the other day I was hosting, I think, guys discussing about election violence and corruption. We talked about the law, but the bottom line was, what are you doing as a person? Because the coastal people, they need to rise up and do this for their people. Otherwise it won't work if they depend on government alone.
And what I can't left is for the coast, I think, or for I speak on Sauni, we have social amenities. You know, we are looking for problem solving. We are trying to see what can be done to this youth that they have hopeless, that they've engaged themselves into drug issues. What substitute can we do with them? In Sauni, they are not there. We don't have libraries. We don't have sports centers, sports grounds. We don't have vocational trainings. Imagine all those development
those recreational things,
that you can engage, even if you're not employed. But at least we're going to do some technical
It feels like we need a whole show to discuss Kisauni.
Yes, I did that, and I think I'm in court. I'm prosecuted for saying there's a land that youth have been using for 43 years. 43 years. Paka wengine wamezeka using that ground. But someone somewhere came in and said, it's his land, he wants to build it. I was like, you can't do this. Where will this youth go? They're trying. They also want a program These are
They want an escape.
An escape. Some of them engage themselves into this thing with no option, with nowhere to go. They see Manchester, they see this. They try also to. Their role models are Tuna side. We don't have role models. Like they want to become the next footballers. And they see our own neighboring country like Tanzania having series of leagues, having series of development with youth. We have underage. A good example, we have a team in Kisauni, Team Kishada, and I can proudly speak about it. They're in Division 2 in Mombasa. And they are number 1, 2 when they do games. Imagine they have no fun. They go empty stomach when they go and play. There is no support for them. How will you tell that boy not to engage, hunger, not touch drugs? Why there's no any substitute you're giving to them? Imagine this is a call and call campaign that I really feel like Kisauni, the MPs who are coming in, the MCAs who are coming in, they need to do something.
Are you talking to them?
Yeah.
Are you talking to them?
Yes. When you get time, but getting time with them,
it's impossible. So now again, they will go back to the voter. So Mulama, tell me, are there alternative systems to justice when it comes to drugs? Do you opt for other restorative means to all this?
Yes. Remember when I started off, I say that we don't want to be prosecuting, in isolation of what is happening in society. We don't want to turn a blind eye to what is happening in society. And remember, the very basic unit of society is the family. When these suspects come to us in court, they are coming from certain families. If you are to pick them and prosecute them blindly of where they are coming from, then of course, definitely, what are we doing to the family unit down there? We are going to dismantle it. And once we have dismantled families as the first basic unit of society, then it means that the society will crumble down, and entirely the nation will crumble down. So, as far as prosecution we are concerned, we are really trying to implement the policies that we've have been launched in the past year, more so in as far as diversion goes, in as far as even plea bargaining goes, because we realize we don't want to have people stuck in the justice system for longer than they should be. So that we want to sieve the cases that warrant, and we only remain with the ones that we really need to prosecute. So that if, for instance, and I'm not saying this will apply in every other case in the Republic, but just if, for instance, for purpose of argument, a minor is brought to my court. Maybe they were arrested in the company of several other minors and even adults, and maybe the minor was found in possession of 5, 6 rolls of bang, or even 20 for purpose of argument. Before I prosecute that case, I would really want to get a psychosocial report, from the probation officers, and even I also want to engage even the NGOs that work around where the minor stays, so that we can be able to know where really is this minor coming from, so that we don't just prosecute for the sake of it. Because remember, and you have even heard from my sister when she talked about the relapses, when these children are taken for rehab and they still relapse. So the same way with the justice system. It is not always that every case that comes to our end must be prosecuted. And it's not always that every conviction that we get will mean that someone will come out of prison rehabilitated. They can even come out of there worse than they went in. So for us, we really focus on the plea bargains in cases
maybe for the sake of this audience, because you haven't talked about plea bargain for this audience. What does it entail?
So really, plea bargain is we want is a system whereby we want to sort of escape, or not really escape, but do away with the rigors of the whole trial system. So that if we have a good case against you, because it actually proceeds on the basis that we have a good case against an accused person. By that I mean we have evidence to prosecute. So that if we have evidence to prosecute, we now have a sit down with the accused person and probably their lawyer if they are represented, and tell them, hey, look, we don't have to go full-scale prosecution.
Case in the evidence.
This is the evidence. You are likely to face this number of years, but if you plead guilty, we are going to try and get in a good report for you, and you can even end up with maybe an uncustodial sentence. So we end up saving the accused persons, even time, because assuming maybe there are students somewhere. If they are to go to the full-blown prosecution, they might end up losing their hours in school. If they are in campus, they might end up dropping out of campus. So we want to have a system whereby everyone's interests are taken care of, so that we save time also for the government, we save money for the government, and we also save
the backlog in the system.
Backlog and even the youth in as far as time is concerned.
Yeah.
And also the trauma of getting through the whole
criminal justice system. Yeah.
At times it's not very nice.
Yeah.
So we enter into plea bargains. And for diversion, it's not, again, all cases that are brought to us that have to be prosecuted. And that's now in the same spirit where I said, we want to sieve the cases that warrant to go to court for prosecution, but the ones that we think as prosecutors, we can be able to use other methods of attaining justice, then of course you can now apply diversion. Yeah.
So what happens in diversion?
So in diversion, we actually have the pre-charge diversion. That is, before we charge, we can just decide outrightly that we're not going to prosecute this case, but we're now going to refer it maybe to refer the case maybe to other, say, probation, counseling. Like now for the drug cases, if it's a young man, 5 rolls of bang, we may want to have him counseled maybe. We may want to have him supervised, so that he does not have to go through the rigors of trial. But at least now we have sort of diverted it from the course of justice. But not that justice will not be attained. It's only that we're saying
there are other ways.
There are other ways of attaining what you want to attain, other than saying we just prosecute the traditional old way that things used to happen.
Great, yeah. So we never finish this show without discussing the decision to charge.
Yes.
How do you make the decision to charge in drug cases?
Yeah, of course, for the decision to charge, be it a drug case or any other case, the first thing that we have to consider first is the evidence. So that even if it's a drug case, however serious, but there is no evidence, then definitely we are not going to charge. We are not going to charge.
Yeah.
But then now, if we look at the file, and yes, there is evidence, now we have to consider the public interest test.
Yeah.
So that yes, there is evidence that this minor was arrested and found with 5 rolls of bang. But now, is it in the public interest to prosecute this 16-year-old who is probably the only son in a family, or maybe the firstborn in a family of 5-6 children? Maybe one of the parents is deceased, so literally is the one supporting the family. Maybe the mother is ailing. So we look at all these other considerations and we say, okay, probably this is not a good case to prosecute. So that yes, it's a serious offense, it's a drug offense. But now we are looking at the public interest test. What then will you gain in prosecuting this minor? Maybe very little. Are there other ways that we can ensure that justice is sort of served in as far as addressing the ills this minor has engaged in? Yes, there are other ways. Which are now these other ways? Maybe we can now decide to divert. We can decide to, have him supervised. We can decide to enter into a plea deal so that we have a deferred prosecution and tell them, look here, you have this case over your head, but let us look at how you are going to behave in
What's deferred prosecution?
So that we are not really prosecuting as per now.
But you're saying it will come?
If some certain other things are not met,
we
might reconsider that decision.
Okay.
We have not really, personally, I've not really employed it, but I think it's something that we may want to embrace as an office moving forward. I know in other cases where it has been employed.
So I am arrested, there's a case against me, but then you say we will defer this prosecution.
Yes.
You have to meet these conditions.
Yes, we enter into actually an agreement. It's not oral. You have to enter into an agreement, you have to sign. And all this is just to ensure that justice is served and we reduce the backlog and we don't have to take everyone to court.
The ultimate is not always a conviction.
Yeah, it's not always a conviction. Like in any way we have to get a conviction. That is not the goal for prosecution.
But I'll tell you, from a public perspective and our understanding of prosecution is that they are always just looking for the next person to convict and take to jail. But you're saying it's not the case. No, that's not the case. Because if you are to say that we want to get a conviction at all costs, then it will mean that we have to cook evidence maybe. Because, at times we may be proceeding from the understanding that, yes, we have a good case. But the accused person at some point comes up with a defense, which maybe you are not anticipated. Yeah.
And really explains the circumstances under which maybe he was found in possession of some drugs.
Yeah.
Then you see in such circumstances, if you are now to argue that we should get a prosecution or a conviction at all costs, then it will mean that we now start cooking evidence. Now that is not ethical, it's actually illegal. Yeah. And therefore that's why we are saying we are not always out for a conviction. And also at all costs. That is not why
not at all costs.
No.
Does bail and bond apply?
Yeah, definitely. These offences for drug offences are available. of course, if we advance reasons, compelling reasons, that is under Article 49 of the Constitution, if we are to advance compelling reasons as to why someone should not be released on bond, then of course the court will hear us and it will make a determination. Because there are instances where, say, these are just for the sake of it, a Pakistani national, let me just use that, country A or country B, and they have been arrested in Kenya. And even from their travel history, they have several other passports. We are not sure even at all if they are Pakistani or not. So to us, they are a flight risk. So we can make applications for bond to be denied. Yeah. But otherwise, they are all bailable offences.
I've just occurred to me, there are these cases we see from, say, China, and students are arrested for trafficking drugs. And you see parents crying on Facebook and even family saying, please bring them back. Do you have such a deal with those countries?
So, it will depend whether we have this, bilateral treaties or multilateral treaties, depending on the country we are dealing with. Because I'm not sure whether we have one in China, but I know there are instances where states can agree to have these bilateral treaties so that there is a transfer of prisoners. So one can be repatriated to come and serve sentence at their home. But again with China, they are very strict with their drug laws. But I'm not sure whether we have a treaty with them.
But you've seen very sad stories about young girls lured into drugs and they're arrested in China and they are jailed for life. Like simulate tu nyumbani amalize.
I've seen such cases. But I'm not sure whether we have a treaty with them as to the transfer of prisoners or even the exchange of prisoners. But I know it's something that happens.
That happens. Okay. All right. Quite interesting. So Nalia, just tell me, access to justice from a civilian point of view. If I have a case, I am in Kisauni, say for example, and maybe I know of a drug peddler or a drug dealer messing my neighborhood, my pengine mtaetu. How do I report this? Are there avenues for me to are they easy?
Most of the time, people set back. People fear their protection. People fear for them being called different names.
Snitches.
Something like that. But usually we try for the drug peddlers, for the drug issues, most of the time community themselves feels like even if they go to police station, because that's the easiest way. The next, probably the police, there's a little faith between the community and the police. Reason being, you go there, the next time you've already given them the place that they can go take corruption and all that. So we need a place where we can raise our complaint. A good example is like IPOA.
You can go there.
We know you can lodge a complaint. It's so professional that no one will even know it is you who went there. So we need that into drug issues. We have NACADA, but before you reach office of NACADA or those things, for me it has been a very quite long process. But we really need an agency that can be. Of course, there's other human rights organization. You can tell us, we say clarification, we do investigation, we partner with the justice actor, and so most of the time we receive such information, but anakwambia tu mzee omta, don't mention it. You see, don't hold the fear, because they live with them. We live with them. So at the end of the most of the time, we try to be neutral for their own safety also. And also we try to see how possibly can we try to work together and with justice actors in this process. But usually, most of the time, according to the community, when I say it takes long to respond. Yes, drug moja ama just msokoto moja. A big issue. Where is that Msokoto going? So I think with the drug cases or with the issues on how we can do a collaboration or synchronization when it comes to drug cases, we really need a serious engagement here. Just like more of IPOA and other
agencies.
We need more on the ground.
Is ODP doing anything to close this gap in access to justice?
Yes. For us, again, we realize that community engagements are very important for our office because, information to the public is power. Because most of these people outside there, at some point, they didn't even know whether ODPP still is under the AG, if ODPP is a branch of the judiciary, if ODPP is the police. So these engagements are very key for us because, we need to demystify first what the office does. And people need to understand that what our office does. But now the beauty of it is that, and as Naila said, there's a lot of suspicion at times between law and, the citizens and law enforcement. But the beauty of it is that now, with Article 157 of the Constitution, where the ODPP can now, under sub-Article 4, direct the IG to investigate matters which are of a criminal nature. You see, now if people can even now have confidence in the office and even bring information to the office, then you see this can be treated with confidentiality and now be seconded or maybe forwarded now to the investigative agencies for them to pick it up and maybe try and see whether we can come out with something. So at the end of the day, really, it's just to get close to the community, because at the end of the day, all this happens
in the community.
And we cannot afford to work in silos and just wait for files to come. We really have to go now back to the community and engage them more on some of these issues. So at least for us, that is what we are really focusing on.
So there's hope.
Yes, for us there is hope. There is hope. Yes.
There is hope.
Because actually, on a daily basis, when I'm in the office, I get so many walk-ins, and some of these walk-ins, you can be able to classify them. You'll know, okay, this is a case where the AG can handle. This is a case, you can be able to gauge and say, okay, let me refer this to the land registrar. Let me refer this to depending with the gravity of and the nature and even at times the sensitivity of the information. You can always take it higher depending on how you get the sensitivity, and of course always protecting the one who brought the information. So I think these engagements are really helpful because we get in so many walk-in clients. Other than those who write through advocates, the walk-ins are so many, and I think this is through the engagements that we've been having with the community.
And people like Nalia, now you can tell people, peleka pale unaweza saidiwa.
Exactly. And the collaboration that we've been having with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, it's I think it's a project whereby it was one day that we will sit in the office of DPP for community, for ground with community during legal aid. You see, it's a dream for us that has come to true, whereby community having legal aid, they sit down one-on-one. I have my case at court. Here, file. How far is this? You see, the prosecutor, when we have legal aid days, we sit down, we have advocates giving legal advice. We have them. My case in Mekaivi, they go back and process. We have cases that comes into the office. You see, we have already established a good relationship with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutor, Office of DCI, Office of the AG. We've tried to work with the probation, all the justice actor for the only main objective is to bring faith into justice.
The justice system.
Easy community forums, we are holding them. We don't hold it nowadays alone. We bring all the justice actors from ODPP, Chief Officer, DCIO, Probation Department, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We bring them on our community forum. They hear it from themselves. I remember we had a public inquiry at Kobles where DPP himself was there. He couldn't believe all these questions. He couldn't believe all this. People came with the 5 numbers.
Wow.
And we had a prosecutor outside Kobles Hall. They were taking those cases. They were marking. So you see, there's hope. If we keep on mechanizing, if we keep on putting pressure, we are on for the putting pressure. But at the end of the day, we are not doing for ourselves, we are doing for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to wind up the discussion and I want to thank you. But looks like we can talk about Kisauni from here to and Mombasa at large.
Mombasa at large.
Yeah, we can talk about it for days.
Yeah.
So maybe just a parting shot, Mulama?
Yeah, so I think for our office, we are servants of the people, because you realize, and I'll say also, we are ministers of justice, so that we are not out there to be seen as the people who go around looking for to prosecute and convict. That is far from it. Far from it. We are here to serve the society and to ensure that that very basic unit of society, which is the family, does not disintegrate out of our actions. So that we want to be very careful with whom we prosecute and even how we
you
prosecute.
do it.
So that at the end of the day, we don't want to be seen as people who are pushing maybe the youth, say, to drug abuse and these other vices that are in society. But we want to be seen as people who want to ameliorate society from these vices that bedevil more so the coastal region. Yes.
When you say you're ministers for justice, it's such a powerful thing to say.
Yes.
What does it mean for me, Anita, as a citizen?
You see, basically it means that, taking away, because as prosecutor, just by the stroke of the pen, you can take away someone's liberty. And it is not an easy thing when you just take away someone's liberty. So we want to assure the citizens with that our role is now to sift through the evidence and really have those ones who have to be caught. Sure, they'll be caught, but still their rights will be upheld. But those who are brought, by one way or another, are not supposed to be taken through the justice system. Then you can rest assured that we will not do that. That's why I'm saying we are there as ministers of justice to protect the interests of the society and the citizen.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to the show.
Asante.
And wish you well in Kwale. We
you
should
very
meet after 1 year and see progress.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the impact.
It's a pleasure. Asante.
Yeah, all right. Final words, Nalia.
I have nothing much.
Mtetezi.
Yeah. I think it's high time for our community to understand that whatever we do, there's no one who is above the law. The law must be respected. We have to understand law, and Sisters for Justice with other partners, we are willing and ready to assist or to give information to the community, especially when it comes to the law and the rule of law, respect to the law, constitution, and we are there to assist them. Whatever may, they should not fear, they should not feel like they are alone. We are there for them and wish them, I don't know what to wish them, but I feel like wishing them all the best in whatever they're doing.
And there's hope. You need to say there's hope.
And there is hope. Of course, there is hope. We won't see it now, but we believe the next generation, next future, there will be a more good and hope.
I want to believe there's also hope for our generation now.
Yes,
there is hope.
A hope generation. Just the same as you, but through sitting down with different human rights, old human rights defender, activists, they told me, Naila, there is hope.
There is hope.
Doing what we are doing today, what you are doing the interviews today to be watched for the next generation. So keep on doing, and hope we will make it.
Thank you so much. We shall invite you again definitely on just a series on Kisauni. Or we come to Kisauni and see and see how you do what you do.
We're already in Kisauni.
Oh yeah, this is Kisauni. Lakini tutakuja kwa mtaa. Kwa ground. So thank you so much for making time for this.
So thank you for giving us this kind of opportunity. I believe it's one or the other that it will assist our community. It's through Facebook, right?
Yes, and YouTube.
So we'll watch it, and we should be watching this kind of broadcasts.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we have come to the end of the show, and again, I hope you've learned something. I have learned something. And one thing I want to say is that there's hope. I think when we began, it sounded so hopeless, but we must believe that there is hope for this generation, especially for the youth in Mombasa. When it comes to things like drug abuse, there is hope, and we believe there is hope. But again, what comes out very clearly from these shows is that there's so much institutions can do and government, but the question is what you do as a person and what you do as a family has a bigger impact on how the nation looks like, on the view of the nation, the view of the county, the view of your estate, where you live and what you do. So really ask yourself what you're doing to also uphold justice. So we'll keep talking about this and other things. And I want to thank you so much for joining us. We shall sample your comments, You shall get responses on whichever platform you're using. And remember to invite somebody to like our Facebook page, like our YouTube page, and follow us on Twitter, and let us have a conversation about access to justice and how the criminal justice system works. Of course, all the time we'll have the ministers for justice here from the ODPP telling us how they are working to make it easier for the citizen to access justice and good justice. I don't know whether there's bad justice, but good justice. So thank you once again. I want to wish you a good Friday and a good weekend ahead. And join us next week and see what topic we shall be discussing. God bless. Thank you.